to focus on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Lady K Chat podcast. You are here with your favorite host, Lady K, and for those who are chiming in for the very first time, I am the one that tells the truth with love. I don't hold my tongue back. I speak it with fire, but I give it with love, grace, and warmth. So welcome, everyone. I am excited. Within the whole month of December, we are talking about sex in December. Yes, we're going to stop utilizing sex as it's just a gift, that to do once in the blue. No, we need to stop that. But today, we're going to tackle something a little bit deeper. Some areas, it might be touchy. It's real touchy because, we're about to unwind. But I'm not doing this by myself today. I have the pleasure of having master coach of exceptional relationships and sex, Ronnie Walker, a.k.a. Mr. Relationship Man. Welcome, Ronnie, back to the show.
Hello, and everyone that is tuning in, wherever in the world that you are. I am so honored to be back and hoping that I can once again add some form of value out of this much-needed conversation that we're going to discuss today.
Absolutely, Ronnie. Listen, I'm going to tell the folks we're going to talk about so they can sit down and get themselves prepared. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be speaking about ED. Yes, erectional dysfunctional. That's the word that people act like it's a curse and they can't talk about, Ronnie, because they're like, ooh, we're going to leave that alone. No, let's unpack it. That's the reason why there's so many relationships that's hurting right now, because nobody wants to speak the truth. People, honestly, they don't even know what to do. So tonight, we're going to have those tough conversations. We're going to give them some resources. We're going to make them feel a little bit better, and hopefully this will have some lead back to the relationship,
Absolutely. And it's definitely something that is needed to discuss, but make sure that we discuss it in a very healthy way so that
Absolutely.
There is a result and everyone is satisfied.
Absolutely. So we're going to start off by talking about what is ED and what it's not.
Wow. Okay. What it is, well, put it this way. I'm going to try not to be too clinical about everything. I'm really just going to try to keep this. So it's because it's different things for different people. And by that, I mean, there are things that are mentally, when we're dealing with talking about erectile dysfunctions. There are things, of course, when we're talking about physical, and medically. So, and when we're talking about in the space of intimacy. Now, mind you, intimacy is different from sex, and that's something that many people tend to be misinformed about. And so, but, from the medical sense, it's just pretty much not enough blood flow going into, when we're going to say the penis, in order to perform.
Right.
And sometimes in certain instances, it lasts for a little bit. Others, the erection is, it's there, but it's not as long as you both would like it to be. Or sometimes it's not as long as she'd like it to be. Whatever that may be is, there is an interruption in that. So what we're going to cover, and I hope at some point, is a little bit of each, because we really need to make sure that, because we're speaking specifically to the men about this, we want to make sure that it's not something that is solely, oh, I don't turn him on anymore. Right. Or, he's not man enough, or these things, these kind of conversations where we shame men into not having the conversation. So it's something that is not something that you don't, you avoid talking about. That's it on a surface level.
Absolutely. I'm just going to piggyback a little bit because I was having a conversation with a few male friends, and they tell me, they say, listen, we not that strong as I think we are. Y'all words can really hurt a man. So I'm here to tell the ladies, sometimes we have to be soft with our words. I know there can be a lot of frustration. Sometimes men will have a hard time just telling you directly what is wrong with them. And sometimes we already know half of them don't even want to go to the doctor. But we try to encourage them. And so, men, this part I want to encourage you to say it is important for you to get your annual checkup. I know a lot of men are afraid to go to the doctor's office because they're afraid of what they might hear. And it's like, why would you be afraid to what the doctor has to hear if you are treating your body correctly? You understand what I'm saying? Because it's a mentality to say, you know what, because I know I treat myself good, and because I know that I eat right, and because I know I diet, and because I exercise, I still want to go to the doctor and hear the report. That's the mentality that I need you men to have, but I know some of you guys don't have that, but it's okay. And that's why you have to change what you are doing. Don't be afraid of change. You can't tell your lady to change, but then you don't implement change. And I know there are too many men that do that. They want to tell their ladies, I need this for you, I need this for you. But she's telling you, I need you to go to your doctor. How about this? Let me set this up a little bit. I need you to know that I care and I love you. But for you to show me reciprocation by you going to the doctor to get yourself checked out, that helps me. But I know a lot of men are not in that thought process. But that's what it means, because remember, I know men are from Mars and women are from Venus, right? But I'm trying to tell you, fellas, it makes your lady feel good when you take your health into consideration. When you take her into that is taking her into consideration. Because first, you're doing it for yourself, as you should. And second, you're making sure that your family's good. Can you interject on that, on your thoughts, Ronnie?
Well, yeah, I'm going to piggyback on the part where most definitely, and I say this with all the seriousness, gentlemen, and we, I'm in men's movement when we speak of this, and it's a place where men do feel safe, and we discuss this. But just as Clem said, listen to me, gentlemen. This is about you. Most importantly, you. I get it. There was a time when, you were able to handle 50 women, 100 women, whatever the number is. What we're talking about, and mind you, when we're talking about this is not something, Clema, that we're talking about men in their later years. So we're talking 50s and older. We're talking, this is a challenge now that is hitting men in their 30s and in their 40s. Again, based on where they are mentally, physically, and of course genetically, because of certain illness. So you're doing this for you. So amongst everything else, when we're talking about prostate health, when we're talking about heart health, which plays a huge part in this, you want to make sure that you're doing this for you first. So gentlemen, for those of you that are out here in this dating world, sure, and I talk about this, make sure that you are where you need to be physically. Because if you're looking to have a long-term healthy relationship, I can assure you it's a must that the subject of sex is going to come up. And if you're not able to have a healthy conversation about that, then you're wasting your time and you're wasting her time. So make sure that you're looking first into yourself. Get to know you. And that means the turn-ons and the turn-offs. And again, taking your supplements, making sure that your body is in its peak condition. And for many men, that does mean going into the gym or working out at home, taking your vitamins, and making sure that you're prepared for that time, that conversation, and not have some sad story or passing blame with her when it has nothing to do with her.
Absolutely. So, Ronnie, right, what is one way how a guy can actually sit down with his lady and tell her about his problem? How can he do that? How can he create the atmosphere? What type of words would you encourage him to start off with?
Well, I would say, first and foremost, make sure that you have visited your doctor first, because that's going to come up. The first thing out of her mouth is going to be, well, have you seen a doctor about it? And at that point, you can say yes, and you can say it with confidence, because at this point, you have discovered, it's okay, well, there is a solution to this. And this way she feels that, nay, that this is something that's temporary. And This is something that you can both work on. But there's one thing I've learned about the right woman, gentlemen, is that she will support you, not just in those other things in terms of your business or your career, but she will support you in this space because, of course, she receives a benefit from this first. Not first, as well as you do. First, you receive the benefit of this, but she knows that you could be the best man you can be by making sure that you've sought a solution to whatever the challenge is. So just that alone, is just saying, listen, I need to talk to you about something. There's been some challenges, and you may have noticed, and maybe just been too patient in which to discuss it. But I've just not been feeling the complete me and where we are when it comes to making love. And so I went to go have this checked out, and I discovered this, and this is what the doctor discovered. And so we discussed our alternatives, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is what needs to be done. And that point, she knows that you're on top of it. So it's not something that, of course, because what women also tend to do is they think there's something wrong with them.
Right.
So they tend to take that weight on themselves. And again, based on how healthy the communication of your relationship is, she may not want to discuss it because she makes that a lot worse. And that's also something, gentlemen, we don't want to encourage. We want to make sure that she can come to us if she does. Because then we pretty much know. We know that if 3 months ago, you were both wearing each other out, and you're both exhausted and going off into comatose like sleep, and then there's something there, something's a little off. Trust me, she said that. She knows her man. If she's into you and she cares for you, you know that.
Right. So you know what, Ronnie?
Make sure that you're sitting down and having that conversation.
Right. And I'm happy that you share that part on how the man can approach his lady. So now I kind of want to speak to the ladies on how they can approach the men. But I know sometimes, ladies, like you said, you're noticing your sex life is not the same. You notice he might be a little bit distant. You notice he might be a little bit cold, or you realize, there's some shortcomings. I'm going to tell you this. Do not, I repeat, do not call that man a LIMP dick. Because there's some females, they will get frustrated, but what's up with you and your limp dick? That will kill a man's ego so bad, and he will completely shut down. Men are very sensitive. So I feel like if you see that something is wrong and you have been asking your spouse, are you okay? Is this something that you want to talk to me about? Because maybe he may not know. Maybe he's just too embarrassed to say something to you, but at the same time, he's embarrassed. He can't perform, but then he also don't know what's wrong with him. So ladies, if you feel like, something may be wrong, because I know my man, and that's the thing too, knowing your man, knowing when he's off, and it's not always related to cheating, because sometimes you think, well, he's not touching me. Is he cheating? Or he just want to cuddle in bed and he don't want to have sex. What's the problem? I know those thoughts are probably running through your head, but I want you to shift it and think medically wise. And then look at his health, right? Look at how he eats. Sometimes you can still eat great and still have this issue, right? But still have that conversation with, you know what? Hey, honey, I noticed, it's been different. Do we need to go to the doctor and just make sure that, you're okay? Simple as that. Be gentle, because that's a very tough subject, to handle, to tackle. A lot of people don't want to talk about this experience, and they feel some type of way, especially men. That's his pridehood right there. That is his pridehood. Am I correct, Ronnie?
Yes, you definitely listen. There is power in the tongue. We all know that. I think women know this more than anything. So we want to make sure that you're approaching this and not in the moment. Sometimes this is a conversation that you may want to have in the morning or after, things are pretty calm. Say, listen, can I have a moment of you? I need to talk to you. Or I need to ask you something. And just ask. Just ask a question. And because what you don't want to do is you don't want to fake it and you don't want to ignore it.
Right.
It's only going to get worse. So have the conversation, ladies. Don't be fearful of having a conversation. If you've given him some time and you figure that, look, this has happened, several times, and maybe in the moment, you say, listen, there's something I can do. Is there something, we need to address? Then have it, ask a question. But what you don't want to do is be frustrated or with an attitude or in the middle of a heated debate that you slink out and say something, because I can assure you that will have major repercussions. So,
Absolutely.
ladies, again, approach this with love.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to piggyback a little bit off of that too, and then we're going to move forward. So I know sometimes, there can be a lot going on. There can be, he's having issues in that area. There can be other issues within the relationship. So now he's feeling overwhelmed because it's like things on top of things. And we know that's just life. Life happens like that. And so I know it can be tough just to come out and maybe ask him, like, you know what, are you suffering from X, Y, and Z? And of course, he might, I'm going to take it to you ladies, he might tell you no, but then, like I said, too, this is you knowing your man. So I can say you can even step it up a notch. And this is just you being supportive because they need your support. You can say, you know what, hey, honey, I really am concerned about your health. So what I did was I made a doctor's appointment to see Dr. Such and Such. So we know the appointment's in 2 days because I'm concerned about your health. I really do think it's something relatable to your health, and I just want to make sure that you're good. So ladies, that is one way that we can be proactive. I know a lot of ladies be like, I'm not doing that. He's a grown man. He is a grown man, but we already know if this is about you knowing your spouse, if you can just take that initiative and get to the health point, I said, go ahead and do it. And then maybe by then and after him seeing the doctor, it'll be easy to have that conversation because you'll be like, you know what? Hey, babe, see, I know you, and I knew it wasn't just you. I felt that, I just wanted to make sure I help you. So this is why I took you here to this space so we can talk about it, and it's okay. I understand. I'm here with you. I think men need to hear those words. What you think, Ronnie?
I believe that if you're in the practice together and you're making the appointments with him, that's fine. But we want to make sure, because the subject itself is very sensitive, that, again, just having a conversation, saying, I noticed that, we haven't had the rhythm. Our rhythm is a little bit off. So do I need to make an appointment with the doctor? Are you okay at work? Again, because you don't want to automatically assume that something that he's already going downhill. So make sure you say, which is something that we can make an appointment with. Now I get it. Or is there something we need to discuss? Because again, he may have already made the appointment and you didn't know. So this is where the conversation comes in, especially because, listen, ladies, again, we appreciate you. We really do appreciate you taking the initiative to do that. Just make sure that this is something that you're doing, because then there are couples that I coach, and she does all the appointments. She does for her, she does for him, because if left up to him, because of the schedule or just because he's just absent-minded, he just doesn't make the appointment. So they go together, And so it's always healthy that if by chance you haven't been doing that on a regular basis, just again have the conversation. Is there something? Would you like me to make the appointment for you? And give him some power in this situation, because it is him that you're having a discussion about.
Absolutely. I agree with you 110%. So now, Ronnie, right, they had a discussion. It's out in the open. It's confirmed. This man does have this dysfunction, right? So it's like, where do we go next from here? What's the next step?
You, first of all, gentlemen, thank her for understanding, and that will go a long way. Two, if there are some other men, if you're part of a men's group, and this is why, again, men being with men is healthy, because we have to get into the habit and creating a space. Now, mind you, You may only want to discuss this with your doctor, and that's fine. That's fine. But make sure that during this process, as you're working through this, you let her know that you're grateful to her. And that will go a long way in her support of you. And I can assure you, as you're going through the process, be it the medicine, be it treatments, whatever it may be, that she knows that you care about her, you've not forgotten her, you appreciate her, and that we're going to get through this together. That is what's next. Because for sometimes, sometimes it's not even, something that's going to take months. It just may be, again, if all we know, could be just stress at work, and he doesn't know. So the doctor will take this out there, and this is something that, again, just let her know that you appreciate her for standing through you during this time.
Absolutely. And then I'm going to kick it up a notch, Ronnie, by adding on, sometimes, like you said, men don't want to talk about it with other men. They may not feel like they're at that space, and I get it. So I say one thing might be, and I don't know why a lot of men run from this, but it might be okay if you sit down with a sex expert like yourself, Ronnie, or maybe even a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a therapist, that you can have private sessions to discuss this matter. You can have some sessions by yourself, and then other sessions you can include your significant other, so you guys can be on one page. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Ronnie, I see so many couples fighting, right? And the only reason why they're fighting is because the man is in denial, he doesn't want to speak about it, and the woman is frustrated. And it's like, you got to think about your relationship. You really do. You got to think about what's beneficial and that's going to help you, and that's you including her. Like you said, Ronnie, so many women, we are more supportive than you think we are. Because I know some men think it's, well, is she going to leave me? Is she going to stay? But in order to kill these type of thoughts, it's just great to come together and just speak about it. And then I know, sometimes options may be challenging because you're like, well, what if I fully can't do what I need to do? And now she's left unsatisfied. Let's talk about that, Ronnie.
Yes, again, this really goes back to making sure that you really revisit the type of communication that you have. If he hasn't, and you know something that needs to be addressed, then ladies, ask yourself, is there something that I could be doing that will make him feel comfortable in having a conversation with us? Because sometimes, unconsciously, women may create an environment where they don't feel that he could come to her. So that may be something. Also, and because listen, ladies, just how men may go through this, women go through menopause. And so you can't be, really rude to him or unconscious about what he's going through, but then want total support in carrying when you're going through what you may be going through in women's life. So it may be menopause, it may be whatever challenges that you have, concerning your health. So make sure that you're both checking in with each other and addressing the communication. There may be some sort of communication lapse there that he may have felt that, especially if you know that this is something that needs to be discussed.
Absolutely. So again, these are just these hard conversations that we have to have. Again, I know this, we have to pull back the layers slowly, but I honestly think that when two people are in agreement, they can overcome a lot of things. But we also know, we're being realistic because we live in a realistic world. So do not be afraid to maybe say, you know what, well, let's invite some toys into the space to compensate. So I know some people are like, I don't want to do that, but let me say this to you, right? So fellas, so you're saying to yourself, you have this issue. She still wants to be satisfied. It's okay to bring those into the bedroom because that's normal. And actually, you should be already doing that. That enhances the lifestyle. I don't know why some men feel this way. I don't know, Ronnie, maybe you can tell me, but they feel as when you bring toys into the bedroom, you're making a statement about their manhood. Can you talk about that?
Lady K, K, K.